2013 is a year of renewal. With rumors of the next Xbox and PlayStation due for announcement, what's in store for the heavyweights? Our panel breaks down how gaming's about to change in the next gen.
Are these game consoles special enough anymore to merit like a special place in the living room like they always had in the past?
Join original Xbox co-creator Seamus Blackley, GT's annoyed gamer Marcus Beer, and Weekend Confirm's Jeff Canada right now in the bonus round. We're back on the bonus round here on GT with Seamus, Marcus, and Jeff talking about the state of the game industry in 2013. So we've talked about some new things the past couple of weeks about new consoles and Kickstarter. Let's move on to the big establishment, the big console players, what we can expect from them in 2013. Widely expected that we're going to hear the first news on the next Xbox, the next PlayStation this year. Nintendo's Wii U is out there. As Mr. Iwata said, not bad sales, I think, over the holidays was the way they framed things up. Jeff, let's start with you. What are you excited about for this year from the establishment now that we've gone through some of the other interesting things?
Well, it's hard to be more excited about anything than new consoles. I mean, that's every few years you get the juice of the infinite possibility of what there could be. And I'm one of those guys that loves the newest, latest, best. I want the Ferrari of gaming systems. I want them to jam as much tech into the box as possible. So I'm really hoping that both Microsoft and Sony deliver and shoot for the moon that way. From Nintendo, I think this year has got to be software, and software that proves the promise of what the Wii U offers. And I think we need a big Mario title, and I think we need a big Mario title that shows off that pad in a unique, interesting way that's more than just menu systems. I really am anticipating them showing something that has to do with that idea of asynchronous multiplayer, so that you have a Mario that's more than just having your buddy flick stuff off the screen with their Wiimote, that it really is something interesting and unique and different on that personal screen. But beyond that, I really hope they also embrace new IP. I think, trotting out the next Mario, the next Metroid, the next Zelda for every new console is exciting and fun for me, but I think there needs to be some more influx of new blood there as well. So,
I've been saying that for a number of years.
Yes, indeed, everybody has.
We'll see if this is the year for them. Seamus, this is a big year with the new announcements, the new consoles. You've been through the first Xbox launch, and you've certainly been a part of the industry for some other launches. What's going to be different this time, do you think? I mean, we're going to see, better graphics, better physics, a bigger focus on, I'm sure sort of software and services around the game experience to a broader entertainment experience.
I guess I'm going to be the undying optimist again, which is important. Well, there's a yin
Right.
and a yang that needs to happen on these things. I think that what's different this time is that more or less games have won. And this is, I think, culturally important to remember, that for every other console launch, games were still seen as sort of the domain of the 14-year-old criminal skateboarder or some sort of other cultural element, right?
They still are, aren't they?
But we live in a world now where, we're selling, hundreds of millions of dollars of games to a demographic of people who never were gamers before.
Right.
Okay, we have, for better or worse, according to whether or not you believe in or you believe other news sources, you have the vice president meeting with Electronic Arts and Mark Rain and these guys. And the fact is that games are mainstream now. And that's a really different dynamic than has ever been the case with other console launches. Games haven't been this mainstream since about 1981.
Right.
And the question really is, are these game consoles special enough anymore to merit like a special place in the living room like they always had in the past? Right. You had a really invested customer before who was
Games are so mainstream because people are playing on so many platforms now.
Well, not only so many platforms, but people have permission to play games now. So, and that's incredibly great in a lot of ways. On the other hand, it means that the kind of special nature, the special magic of it being a games console that does this magical thing is gone. That's gone, right? The game, like a console is no longer the only thing that can draw cool 3D stuff and can give you that game experience. And in the past, it was. Now, people feel these boxes have to do a lot of different things. And I worry that there's going to be a focus lost on exactly what Jeff said, which is you have to, hit exactly the right note with the right content. I can remember at the Nintendo 64, that Mario 64 release. And at that time, I had just I had just come off of working really, really hard with a bunch of smart guys at Looking Glass to develop a whole bunch of 3D stuff. We were writing our own texture mappers, and people said it was impossible, and writing the first physics systems and all of that. And then we saw Mario 64 come out, and it nailed all of those things exactly, and it was perfectly suited for that platform, and it was like a magnificent experience. And you couldn't do anything except rush out and buy one of those boxes at that point. And all of these guys need something like that. I think it's really easy to take your eye off the ball these days because of the cultural trends that have made gaming ubiquitous, right? I mean, gaming's in your Prius, gaming's in your watch, gaming's in your phone, everywhere, right? So what do you do that makes that console experience really special? How do you possibly push people to it? And I really worry that these companies are going to think that it's offering every service they can think of at the same time. Right. And that's not it, because my iPad offers every service I can think of, and I can take it with me. I can stream Netflix.
No, I think that's a great point.
From cellular. I don't need that. What I need is the box to blow my mind with something super awesome that I can only get on that box.
And we're at a point where, I think there's a challenge in that last time the leap was, from standard definition to high definition. I mean, you saw it, a real, demonstrative leap in graphics. And I think people are wondering this time.
And it was a special moment too, because if you remember, that leap happened coincidentally with the moment when there wasn't a lot of high definition content to watch on a television. So if you wanted your TV to look totally awesome, you had to hook up the Magic Game Box to it, and the Magic Game Box did something not special anymore.
And following your train of logic even further too, to wow people with graphics now, it's a much more difficult job because you're going to the movie theater and you're watching Wreck-It Ralph. And that's commonplace. It's not, to be able to do that in real time would be special to guys like us who recognize how tough that is, but it's not something that you can throw on the Blu-ray of Toy Story 3 and it's going to be much more spectacular than your console.
Like, do you remember when a few years ago there was a story that there was a rock that had got to the Earth from Mars in the Arctic, and it proved there was life on Mars? You may not remember this, but so the headline was, life on Mars, we discovered Martian microbes. It turns out not to be the case, but the thing that struck me at that time was that it wasn't that big a news story. And the reason it wasn't that big a news story, I would posit, is because we've all seen life on Mars. We've seen Star Trek, we've seen Star Wars. It's no big deal if there's life on Mars or not. And the same thing is true of graphics. Like, who cares? Everything that you see now is high def, super shiny, super perfect, like great stuff. Everything is a game everywhere. And it's raised the bar a lot higher. You can't just make a game console that has the next generation of really cool graphics and get away with that anymore. So the question is, what the heck do you do?
Hold that thought, guys. We're going to be right back.